Hi, I'm Dan McTeague with tomorrowsgaspricestoday.com, TGPT TV, here to give you the prediction for this week's gas prices right across the country from coast to coast. And that would, of course, mean from Wednesday, October the 23rd until Wednesday, October 30th. Well, all you can say with this week is down, down, down. Prices for fuel should be heading down in most regions across the country, save and except the Maritimes, which tends to have a bit of a holdback when it comes to declining prices as a result of their errant regulatory system. It hurts consumers there. We've said this before. I won't belabor the point. But if you begin in Newfoundland with prices at $1.29 and 28, depending where you are, Nova Scotia at $1.27, $1.26, and New Brunswick at $1.25 and $1.24, those prices should remain at or near where they are today. And we don't expect much of a movement, possibly in Newfoundland and in Nova Scotia's instance, maybe a drop of as much as a penny, but you won't know really for another full week until that scary day of Halloween on Thursday, October 31st. In Quebec, the prices have been coming down. Quebec City has seen prices as low as $1.26.4. Montreal has seen prices range in the $1.28, $1.29 range. We saw a little bit of a bump there last week, back to $1.36, $1.37. We could see a little bump, but it has to really come down overall because of the way in which the market is going. What you're going to see, by the way, from Wednesday night into Thursday, in places like Montreal and Ontario, is an across-the-board decrease of about 1.4 cents a litre. You're also going to see in other regions of the country a similar factor. So in Ottawa, for instance, with prices now in the $23.8 range, look for them to drop to $22.8, and then on Friday down to $21.5. And into the weekend, because Ottawa has a bit of a different market, it's quite often you will see a circumstance where prices could be seen in places like Orleans for as little as $1.14. That'll, of course, come right back up to $1.21, $1.22 by Monday. For Toronto, the price is dropping from $1.25.2 all the way down to $1.23.8 Wednesday to Thursday. Look for another penny to 1.2 cent a litre decreases into Friday. So you'll be down in the Toronto region, down in the 122.5 range, possibly going lower for Saturday and maybe even to Sunday, but a little early to tell. As for Manitoba, prices have already dropped to the 114, 115 range in many cities like Winnipeg, like Brandon. Look, if you even take Steinbach, all of them are seeing very competitive pricing, mostly as a result of the bottom dropping out on fuel prices, especially at this time of year when refineries are converting from summer spec gasoline to winter spec gasoline. That basically means in order to make the vehicle work a little bit better in hotter conditions, you have to put more costly additives in there. They're now taking those additives out, putting cheaper additives in the vehicles, and that means, of course, savings to consumers over the course of the next few weeks. Look at Saskatchewan. You're in the 121 down to 117 range. Look for those prices to come down a penny to a penny and a half, similar to Manitoba, over the next, say, 5 to 7 days. In Alberta, we've seen prices go up last weekend. A little bit of a surprise that Calgary went up from $1.10 to $1.14. You should see those come back to $1.10 by Saturday and Sunday. In Edmonton, same thing. They went up from $1.04, $1.03, $1.05 up to $1.09, $1.10. Look for them to come back down to about $1.06, $1.07 over the weekend. So some big savings if you hold off until the weekend. As for British Columbia, well, let's look at the interior. Not much movement. Places like Penticton, places like, if you're looking at it, Fernie or Kimberley, Cranbrook, those have all remained in the $1.29.9 range. You might see a penny drop there. In Prince George, prices actually jumped from $1.14 up to $1.17. We should see those trend down by a penny. Of course, in Vancouver, look for a day-to-day decrease from the 131.6 all the way down to $1.30.1 for Thursday into Friday, and then, of course, into next week, probably down potentially below $1.30, something I haven't seen in a long time in Vancouver. Now, as for Victoria, we've seen prices as high as $1.29.9 just a few days ago. That dropped to a $1.27.9 on Tuesday. Wednesday went down to $1.25.9. We could see them drop to $1.23.9 by the end of the week into the early part of next week. And so it's all good news from coast to coast. Consumers know and should know that by waiting an extra day, your chances are you're going to save the equivalent of half a cup of Tim Hortons, which I now think is about $1.50 to $2, depending on the size you get. We can save you about 80 cents to $1 every fill up just by waiting every day. Well, that's it for this week. We'd love to get your contributions in terms of the cheapest prices, so go click on our site. We're incentivizing people to participate, so Canadians will be helping other Canadians right here on a Canadian site. I'm Dan McTeague. We'll see you next week on the 30th. Have a great week and keep safe on those great roads across the country as the weather changes.